Move over, kids, because the Nintendo Switch is the fastest selling console of this current generation with the PS4 and the Xbox One. First, though, did you guys enter the contest below? Yeah, I have a link to a contest where I'm giving away a Smash code or a $50 eShop card or any game you want from 2019. I'll pre-order it for you with your address. It'll get to you day 1, or if you order from Amazon, probably day 7, because they say 2-day guaranteed shipping, but they don't mean it. They don't mean it. New, old subscribers, enter below. Anyways, fastest selling console of all time. I guess we have to also credit Nintendo for the worst selling console of this generation, because the Wii U, I believe, falls into this generation. But we're just focusing on the Switch because, baby, it beat out the PS4 and Xbox One in sales in this time frame. It is the fastest selling console of this generation, and here are your 5 reasons why. The number 1 reason is the hybrid nature of the Nintendo Switch. I know it's an obvious, but it has to be said, so I'm just going to throw it out there first, and it's probably the biggest reason even. The fact is, Nintendo is not trying to compete directly with the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. They said, you guys can have the 4K, but can you take it on a long car ride, on a plane trip? No, you cannot. The Nintendo Switch can literally be playing a beautiful game at home, and then you just pop it out and boom, you're playing Breath of the Wild on an airplane. That is insane. I remember playing the Game Boy in black and white on car rides home, just wishing for a street light to pass by so I could have just a little bit of light, because, man, it was impossible to play that thing, but I still kept on playing. And now you just can take Mario Odyssey wherever you want on the go. That's insane. Nintendo said, forget trying to just be a different form of the current generation. Let's just be our own selves. And that is what made it great. Could you imagine if Nintendo had just said, you know what, we're just going to try to compete with the 4K graphics? We would not have the Switch. No way, no how we would have the Switch. We'd have a really cool system that had exclusive Nintendo properties, but I would rather be able to take the Nintendo Switch with me on my coffee break at work. The number 2 reason is the clear-cut message on what the Nintendo Switch was and is. It is a home console that switches into a mobile console. That's it. Very simple. When you try to explain what the Wii U is, it's a little harder. It's like, what is the Wii U? Is the gamepad just an extension of the Wii? Is the gamepad the Wii U part? Because Nintendo seemed to even have trouble figuring out what the gamepad really was for. I mean, it had a cool giant red button for Mario Kart that I could honk when I needed to, but really, what was it for? And I will say that there was only a few games that really utilize it to its full potential, and one of them was Splatoon. I actually feel Splatoon is superior on the Wii U than on the Switch because of the gamepad, but that doesn't mean that the Splatoon 2 isn't a good game. No, it's a great game, but I'm just saying that the fact of the matter is, when you had to try to explain the Wii U to somebody, people just could not really fathom what was different between the Wii and the Wii U other than a giant gamepad. And when you really think about it, what was different? HD graphics and a giant gamepad. And at first, for the longest time, I thought, why do people have such a problem understanding the difference? It's just an upgraded system. It's like the Super Nintendo, and Nintendo should have just called it the Super Switch, and that would have easily distinguished it, but they didn't. They added the U. And I just could not understand why it was such a problem for people to wrap their mind against around this part. Yeah, they added a letter, but it's just a new console, people, with a new controller. And then the Xbox One happened. First, I'm like, why is it an Xbox One and not an Xbox 720, which would have been double the 360? But whatever. But then they added the Xbox One S. And I'm like, okay, so the S is just a souped up version. Then they added the X, and then I started getting confused. I'm like, well, what's the Xbox One to the S to the X? What are the differences? And from an outsider's perspective, someone who's not an Xbox fanboy, it was confusing. So I pretty much can see how, from an outsider's perspective into the world of Nintendo, how the Wii U could be confusing. But the Switch was a fresh start, and it literally said exactly what it did. It switches from home console to handheld. That's it. We just needed to have a clear-cut message on what to tell people, and that's what we got. The Switch. Simple, easy, the concept just great. We don't have to, oh, it's a giant gamepad that you can walk around your living room with. No, it's the Switch. It's a home console you can take on a bus. That's it. Number 3 is that first year of games. Wow, that first year of games was just a stellar lineup. The Wii U suffered right off the bat. It had, oh man, the games, it started off like gangbusters, but then it slowed down to a crawl and then the eventual death. Well, in that first year, Nintendo realized they needed something every month to just out of the park, and they started with Breath of the Wild. It was kind of a risky move to put Zelda on the front line. A lot of us gamers tend to think that Zelda is one of those upper tier sellers, and really the Zelda franchise, it's not. When you look at the sales compared to Mario, Pokemon, or pretty much anything, it's really not the greatest of sellers. I'm not saying it's a financial burden by no means, but it's not the greatest runaway hits. It's not a guaranteed 5 million game seller by no means. If you look at the sales on Skyward Sword, no, not that great. So using Breath of the Wild to really be your first game was kind of a risk. And Nintendo, though, they went with it, they ran with it, and they showed what was capable of this little system that could go anywhere in the world. And boy, that is what got the world talking. That's what turned everyone's attention to the Nintendo Switch. And then the next month, they released Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And then the next month, they released Splatoon. And then the next month, they released ARMS. And then the next month, and the next month, and the next month, and they topped it off with Mario Odyssey. Each month, they gave the Nintendo fan base something. And that's what they needed to do, because every month they had a new game that everybody was going to talk about, that everybody was going to bring to work or school or wherever and show it to people. You could take Mario Kart 8 to a bar, and then people would be amazed and say, well, what else is there? And then you pop in Breath of the Wild, you throw in Mario Odyssey, and that first year lineup was just crazy, absolutely crazy. And then Nintendo was able to prop it up even more with the number 4 reason, which is a continuation but separate, and it is the fact that Nintendo repaired relationships that had been strained to the point of breaking or just fostering new relationships. The indie lineup, the indies became such a thing that Nintendo named it the Nindies. Independent games had their own thing on Nintendo games, and the indies really propped up that video game library long enough for Nintendo to really reach across the aisle, tell all the third parties that we've changed, we're welcoming now, come over to our side and we will show you the support we have for you. We will let you have Mario, we will put Diablo on a console, we will do this, we will do that. Anything you want, the keys to the kingdom. Basically, Nintendo really reached out to the point that we're getting Final Fantasy VII on a Nintendo Switch. Final Fantasy VII is pretty much synonymous with the PlayStation 1. It's basically been a PlayStation exclusive forever. It's almost akin to seeing Zelda on the Xbox. It is crazy. Nintendo really went out of their way to companies like Bethesda to say, please get on board with us and we will show you that we can support you and sell your games. And that was huge because that won over, I think, the people that were skeptical, the people that were on the fringe, that were looking over the shoulders of people playing Breath of the Wild, but they still viewed it as, yeah, well, I'm sure it's going to be a great Nintendo system, but I want to play some third-party games. I want to play some indie games. So Nintendo bought themselves time with that first year of first-party lineup games and the indie games to prop up what was missing on the third-party front. And by the time the year was over, the third parties were hopping on board the Switch train. Choo, choo, choo. And the number 5 reason for the Nintendo Switch being the most successful console of this generation is, and I quote Mrs. Fritz from the Magic School Bus, take chances, get messy, make mistakes. Nintendo is willing to get messy. They're willing to take chances, and they're willing to make mistakes. You can argue that the Wii U was that messy mistake that allowed the Switch to happen. There's so many similarities even that it's kind of crazy that more people don't bring up the fact that if it wasn't for the Wii U, we would not have the Switch. If it wasn't for Nintendo saying, yeah, we made a mistake on the Wii U, but I don't think it was a total failure. We can take the failure that was the Wii U and make it into something that is a success, and that's pretty much what they did. And you don't see them really shying away from these kind of big, grandiose, messy mistakes. Look at Labo. Labo was something just like, what? What is that? And Nintendo never said it was for adults. They said children at heart, and I think it was actually a really fun thing. And I'm just waiting for my kids to get older. Anyways, 2 or 3 years from now, I'm going to break out my Labo sets, and we're going to build more stuff. But the fact of the matter is, this is something just very unique, something crazy that the Nintendo Switch is willing to do. They're just willing to make these kind of crazy mistakes. Look at Mario Party. Mario Party, while it went back to how it used to be, they have this way to play the Nintendo Switch, 2 Nintendo Switches together to make this crazy new game. They didn't have to do that. Nintendo is just having fun and doing things out of the box. They take a game like Pokemon and they change everything up. Suddenly, you can see the Pokemon. Now you have a Pokeball controller and all this stuff. And I'll tell you what, that Pokemon Let's Go is a phenomenal, fun game, and it changes things up. And we're still going to get the core game, but Nintendo is not afraid to make mistakes. They're not afraid to take chances, and you can argue that the Switch was just a chance that they were taking on a very messy mistake of the Wii U. They were able then to take it, polish it up real nice, and give us this awesome, awesome little system that could. And man, I'll tell you what, I'm so glad that Nintendo does not look at failure like it's the end. They look at failure like it's something to learn from, and can we take what's left from the ashes and make it into this beautiful, great phoenix. And I'm telling you what, the Switch is a beautiful, great phoenix. And guys, that's it. Those are my 5 reasons why the Nintendo Switch is the fastest selling console of this generation. Can you think of any more? Because I know there's a lot more reasons why that is, but those are the 5 that I thought of. I would love to hear your comments below, your thoughts below. Also, don't forget, you gotta sign up for that contest. All it requires is you be a subscriber. Whether you're new or old, you can get a chance to win a Smash Brothers or an eShop card or any game in 2019. I'll pre-order for you. Metroid, Fire Emblem, Super Mario U, you name it, you got it, all yours. There's lots of games coming out, Animal Crossings. I'm going to do a whole video on what we're going to look forward to 2019, and it is looking up, people. It is looking up. 2019 is going to be a great, great year. And guys, it is dangerous to go alone. Please share this video, this channel with a friend, and have yourselves a great day.